Well, hi there, folks. This is your host, ID Jester. Welcome back to Marvel Heroes. And yes, it's time once again to do another character investigation. So we've done quite a few so far. I would say a good half dozen or so. Captain America, Hulk, Black Widow, Magneto, probably a couple others in there somewhere that I'm forgetting about. Anyways, it's time to look at Black Panther and check out his items, his stats, talk about his powers, what he likes to do, how he does it, and then kind of give you an overview of what I think of the character. So let's get to it. So as far as his items go, and this is going to be kind of a general theme with everything we talk about with Black Panther, he is right there trying to be one of the big boys, but he just so hard to get him up, to get to the next level, to get him up. It's just so hard. Anyways, if we look at his items here, you can see that we're actually using slots 1 through 3 are his items. Slot 4 is a unique item that is for any hero that we've given him Black Panther. You can see pretty darn good. It gives him 2 fighting, 2 speed, 2 ranks to all your powers, plus some attack speed, some movement speed, some health, defenses, critical to hit rating, and some critical damage rating, which he desperately needs. So his slot 4 is okay, but just not, again, not top tier. And then slot 5 is, again, not top tier. In fact, let's see, do we have any? I've been kind of storing some items here. Yeah, here's one here. He actually has another item which I just sold recently because I had 4 of them. I actually traded them in for some relics there. Anyways, he's got one item here that kind of gives buffs to your summoned allies, and it's okay. It's if you're going to go with a summoned allied build. Unfortunately, in Marvel Heroes, no matter what hero you're using, the summoned heroes just don't do enough to make it really a viable build. They can distract opponents, which was what we use them for, but they just don't make enough. They don't do enough damage to really make it a viable option. So, anyways, this item here has been replaced with another special, unique item that gives us some really good stats here. Spirit health regen, which is very important. 2 ranks to all of our powers, some critical hit rating, and some critical damage rating. So, slot, like I said, slot 1, 2, 3 are pretty decent. I would say not, you know, A plus, but probably in the A category. This is a main attack one. He actually has 2. Here's the other one here. The Ebony Blade, which is kind of interesting as well. Very similar almost between these 2 items. I'm not sure why they actually have 2 of them. I guess the knives give bonuses to just certain powers, while the Ebony Blade actually gives you 6 or a bunch of ranks in your Blade Fighter powers. So kind of depends on which powers you're going to be using, I guess. But very similar besides that. Although I think the knives are quite better because the critical damage rating, which the Ebony Blade does not have. But the Ebony Blade does give you fighting, which of course is going to help you with your critical hit and brutal strikes. So, yeah. Anyways, slot 1 to 3, pretty decent. 4 and 5, not as good. So you can replace these with some unique. If you don't have uniques, you can just, of course, slide in what you get, and that's fine. But all in all, not greatest set of items. Whenever I have to use a unique from... now, I should say these Bedrock Savant boots are one of the upper tier uniques that for any hero. This one here is probably, again, another upper tier for any hero. So these are pretty good items. So these can probably go in a lot of heroes slots and replace them. So keep that in mind. We are using the Power Cosmic. I just recently switched to Power Cosmic because we were actually running the Cosmic World Stone event again. So I was able to purchase him, specifically purchase him, the Power Cosmic, and I also purchased him a dupe so we can give him this U-Forged item here, the Power Dupe. Since we are using energy and physical, any hero that usually uses that combo of a hybrid type of power, energy, mental, and physical, usually these are the items you probably want to give them. So he had in his, for legendary, for the longest time, he didn't have anything. Then I gave him a legendary, and then he basically got everything taken away from him and given to other heroes. And we're now just getting back to, I've given him back some of the items that he deserves. And so I gave him another legendary item, and then he just doesn't do enough damage with his powers. So you really, really need to give him the best of the best, just to give him that extra notch up. It's kind of the general theme of everything. Just like his items, they're okay, but you just gotta, you gotta get some way to get them up above. You know, it's like a teacher trying to decide: do I give this student a B plus or an A? Now, you're trying to give that person a nudge up so they can get into tier 1. And trying to give him every item, give him every option he has to try and give him that little extra. So the Power Cosmic is a little extra from the other item we had, the U-Forged item. Again, another bump up. As far as his artifacts go, you can see we've got actually 2 of the best, very unique artifacts. The Blessed Hand of Doom with, of course, the Blessing of Gila. Of course, the Blessed Gem of the Cursed, again with the Blessing of Gila. We also have the Blessed Advanced Metasensory Array, which has been blessed with the healing, with Gila. And the Moonshine Shard, which we haven't blessed yet. Probably will be blessing this and leaving that in there. Invulnerability is so important when you get up to level 60 and you start going on more and more dangerous things. Having the ability to become invulnerable for 4 big long seconds. During those 4 seconds you're using your health regen, you're not taking any damage. It's very, very good. And then of course we're using a nice Cosmic Curse Medallion. It's giving us some damage rating to melee powers, brutal strike to melee powers, critical hit to melee powers, and a little bit of physical defense. So let's look at his actual stats here. Defensives, 12,000, basically for energy and mental. Physical, he's got a few bonuses from his other items here. You can see here, let's see, this one here is giving us some physical defense, specifically physical defense. And of course, some of our items up here are giving us some physical defense. So in all, 12,000, 14,000. A little light. Again, if there's a way to get him bumped up just a little bit, we can get him just slightly better. That would be awesome. Health-wise, 20,704. Again, just wish there was a way, and that's kind of the general theme we're going with this character. Oh, he's so close, but he just needs a QOL, a quality of life update. He actually is pretty good compared to a lot of the other heroes out there. Some of these heroes are really, really bad shape, and they need updates, and there seems to be this general trend going on in Marvel heroes right now where There's some heroes that are getting quality of life updates and getting updated, and every month they'll be doing a new one. There's some heroes like Cable. I know we just had Captain America quality of life updated, and now he is a beast. Hopefully, you watch these episodes. The difference between Captain America and Black Panther um, is, with Captain America, we didn't even have any blessings on here. We really didn't min-max any of his stuff, and he was a beast. And the difference is with Black Panther is if you don't give him all of this extra special stuff, the extra blessings, the really unique, hard, rare artifacts, some of the extra items, special, unique, hard to find items. He just doesn't make the cut. To be honest, he just doesn't make the cut. Let's look at his powers. All right, so he's got several really good things. Number one, he's probably got the best signature in the game, if not one of the best. I would say probably definitely top 5 signature of all of the heroes. He is a huge Black Panther that kind of comes out of the sky. Great area of effect. Does some really good damage. And actually gives you a nice buff for 3 seconds. So not only does it do lots of damage, which normally kills all the trash out there, and does some really good damage. I've had it crit for our brutal strike for 3-4 million, not a problem. So very nice. And his ultimate power is, again, very, very, very nice. That's kind of his saving grace, is these 2 powers are really, really good. You can see we have quite a few points in this already. We actually have 4 points. We're getting a buff from our... Let's take that guy off for a second. We have 4 points in it already. Just from getting tokens from here and there. We haven't specifically spent any trying to upgrade him. But when we were buying other heroes, it was buy a hero, get a hero for free. And we ended up getting quite a few Black Panthers. That's why I keep coming back to him, because I hate to waste all of these upgrades that he's been getting. He also has 2 really, really good passives, Panther Grace and the Panther Soul. Really good passives. You don't have to worry. You don't have to turn them on, turn them off. There's none of that stuff, which is great. Really, his only summon is the Dora Marjaya. 2 ladies come out and help him fight. You can see we only have a single point in it. Basically, they're distractions. Enemies go and fight them, and at that point we can do things like get bonus points in enemies that are not targeting us and stuff like that, which is very important. So that's kind of really our only summoned. I don't think is our... Here, our signature power is not considered a summoned. It is basically just a really nice area of effect. And unfortunately for him, it's pretty much his only area of effect. No, that's not true. He's got the jungle snare, which is a great area of effect power. Really good. Lasts quite a while. Actually, 6 seconds, so that's pretty good power. You only have to activate this every once in a while. And there's actually 2 different ways to kind of build your Black Panther. There is this Blade Fighter tree over here, which you use evaporating slash, and it basically puts a mark on your enemy, and then you use the slashing lunge, and you can see it does extra damage for each stack of the evaporating slash. So you hit them with this, and then it marks them, and you can hit them a couple times, and then you slash through them and do a lot of really nice damage. And in fact, this one here also leaves a stack of evaporating slash. I think it does not say... Oh, it does say stacks up to 5 times, maybe? I forget. Anyways, I was thinking it was 3, maybe it's 5. So you can hit them 5 times or 3 times and then slash through them. And It's kind of a really good combo. The only problem with that, and the kind of the advantage with that is all of these are energy. Your main signature power is energy. Your area of effect is going to be energy, and then of course you got a couple passive powers, so you can build your character strictly energy with this event rating slash power. And in fact, I think if you look at my other build here, that's basically what I was using, was kind of this event rating slash and slashing lunge, and it worked pretty good, not too bad. The other way you can kind of build your character is with this middle powers here, which do quite a bit of damage. With your Predator Frenzy, deals extra damage to elites and bosses. You can see it does some pretty good damage, not too bad. You got your Savage Strike, which bleeds enemies, plus does some pretty good damage. You have this Knockdown Sweep, which does some pretty good damage. Also does extra damage while you're stealth or invisible. And there's a couple ways for Black Panther to become stealthy and invisible. You have the Stealthy Escape, kind of roll around and become stealthy for a little bit. Or you can use your Unseen Predator, which makes you and your allies invisible, and basically turns you stealth, and has a 30-second cooldown. So I'm going with the Slashing Lunge because I like to do lots of damage, and you can obviously use a Stealthy Escape instead, which works well with your Knockdown Sweep, which we'll see when we look at our powers or our gameplay video coming up shortly. And of course, you got a couple points in. Oh, the other one is the Blessing of Bast there, which is pretty good, a nice ability there. Not for seeing enemies on the minimap. Having the tenacity is okay, but really you need this spirit, restore 6.7 spirit when you strike an enemy, because Black Panther is spirit starving. He, if you don't have a basic attack, which we don't, we use a Predator Frenzy, you can go through your spirit very, very quickly. So you need to max this Blessing of Bast out so you can get your spirit back every time you hit an enemy, which is very, very nice, obviously. So he's got some issues with spirit. If you go with this kind of build, the advantage, I guess, is this is physical. This kind of middle section is all kind of physical. And then this is kind of all energy over here. So you got a combo of energy and physical, which works well with, obviously, the Power Cosmic and the Power Dupe, which are all going to give you bonuses. When you hit with an energy power, you're going to gain some bonuses. When you hit with the physical power, you're going to gain bonuses. And this one here is when you hit with the physical power, you're going to get energy bonus. And when you hit it with your energy, you're going to get a physical bonus. And when you hit with an energy, mental, or physical power, you're going to gain +1 to all attributes for 10 seconds. And since we pretty much use our Jungle Snare, which is energy, and our Predator Frenzy, which is physical, and our Slashing Lunge, which is energy, and our Savage Strike, which is physical, we use these four pretty much all the time. We're going to have this stacked up, maxed out pretty much all the time there, getting us +3 to all of our stats there without a problem. And of course we throw in a really nice area of effect. We're talking about powers again. How do I put this? Again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's just, he needs just that little bump. He doesn't need much. He really doesn't. He just needs a little bump. If this was doing slightly more damage, if this was doing just slightly more damage, if this did slightly more damage, if this would do just slightly more damage, if just everything would just do slightly more damage, he would be a tier 1 hero without a doubt. At this point, he's kind of teetering between tier 1 and tier 2. And the reason, we looked at his stats and stuff, You can see we're up to 4,400 right now. You can see we've actually have quite a few Omega points in things that we don't normally go into. To get extra health and to get extra defense, you can see we've got 13 points here in Blob, which is giving us some defense and some health. Because without it, again, he's just not able to sustain good enough stats without having points in these other things. We have serum SO2, which is giving us some nice health bonuses there. So you've got 12 ranks in that as well. And these are all points that we could be putting into other things to give us better stats, but if you don't bump up your health and you don't bump up your defenses, you're really asking for trouble there. Of course, we're getting a little summoned allied damage, some brutal strike, and some critical hit rating. There with our Shadow King's possession, I'm kind of flipping through these here so you guys can see what we got our points into. Again, trying to get some extra critical hit and brutal strike, which is, you know, I think great use of the Omega. Health, damage, brutal strike, and critical strike is what you should, the four things you should really focus in on. What you're doing here, of course, we're using this tree here, which is giving us some, you know, again, kind of combo between the energy and the physical and the energy. Kind of working with that. And that's pretty much it. We do have a point here getting us a little bit of durability, which is important. And of course some better defense and some mace melee damage. Hero synergy. We are actually not even using our own, which is giving us movement speed and melee power. Black Panther does, which is not bad. It just needs so much other stuff. Again, which is kind of the downfall for Black Panther's. By himself, he's just not enough. He needs a lot of help from other things. So we're using Cable, Hawkeye, Loki, Moon Knight, Mr. Fantastic, Rogue, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Squirrel Girl, and Wolverine. And these are our stat bonuses we're actually getting from all that. We need the spirit cost reduction again from our spirit, kind of our spirit, lack of spirit, I guess I should say. You can see we have 458. The reason we have 458 is because we're getting some from different sources. But of course our core there is giving us a nice boost to spirit, giving us an extra 54. Yeah, so that's kind of that. We are using the insignia of Thor, which is also giving us a huge amount of spirit, 92 spirit, which is sorely needed. Again, you notice that on our item grade 4 there, we actually are using attack speed, because if you don't give him attack speed, if you don't give him movement speed, Black Panther is slow. He doesn't attack very fast. I remember back in the day when I first started playing Black Panther, he was great. I loved him. He was a lot of fun. And then I got aggravated, bored, whatever, and stopped playing him for the longest time and went back to him. And I hated him. I couldn't stand playing him. And then when, you know, 6 months ago, whatever it was, I decided to go ahead and upgrade all of our heroes to level 60. So I had to play him again, and when I replayed him, he was a lot of fun, and I started liking him again. And I think that comes back to his attack speed and his movement speed.
The Panther can be a patient hunter for a time.
Without his bonuses to attack speed and movement speed, he is very slow. Actually, he doesn't move very fast, and you can see he's actually moving pretty quickly now, and that's mostly because of all the bonuses that I've been trying to get him. If we look at our attack speed, we're actually at 28.7%, and our movement speed is 476. So pretty respectable numbers between those. The real issue is if you don't have these bonuses, again, he just needs those boosts. He needs those boosts because he's just slow without them. He just doesn't move very fast without them. He just doesn't attack very fast. So you have to spend time or resources trying to give him some extra attack. And same thing with his items. Same things with his just about everything about Black Panther. He is so close to tier one, and he's teetering on tier one. Just the way he is, without all of these bonuses, without all the super cool rare artifacts, he just doesn't do enough damage to make him a tier 1 character. And when you start adding up all these very rare unique items and start giving him the best of the best, which you can see we've got quite a few best of the best, he slowly and surely starts becoming very viable, does enough damage that he could be considered almost a tier 1. Now, I'm sure there's people out there that have awesome Black Panthers that totally rock and you know, are perfectly set up and everything. I'm just talking in general for those people out there. You don't see very many Black Panther players. You know, of every, say, 100, I would say maybe 3 or 4 people are playing. You know, if I see 100 characters, maybe 3 or 4 are Black Panthers. I would say he's not a forgotten character. He's I guess you know, we've been talking about this the last couple episodes and everything. There are tier 1 characters, there are tier 2, there are tier 3 characters, and then there are tier 4 characters, which are basically just characters that haven't even been updated in a long time and don't even have a level 52 like Cable. It's hard to really play Cable without any standardization, any updates or anything. A lot of characters haven't been updated in a while, and there's this big power spike. And some heroes have been updated, like as I mentioned, Captain America has been updated. Now he rocks. His quality of life, he went from 1 person playing out of 100 to maybe 12 people or 15 people out of 100 playing him. You see Captain Americans everywhere. And it's not all of a sudden because people said, gee, Captain America is pretty cool, let's play him. No, it's nothing like that. It's all about this character does a lot of damage, and he's pretty good. I want to play him. So that's kind of where Black Panther is. He's a pretty good character. Definitely tier 2. The question is, does he make tier 1 with all the work you got to put into him? I mean, you really have to min-max him to get him to do really lots of damage. If we look at our stats, actually, let's look at our stats, shall we? Let's do that. You can see melee critical hit rating, 47. So we're almost at 50%. Probably pretty good. You know, we were trying to get to 55, which is critical hit rating of 55%, brutal strike rating of 55%. That's what we're aiming for. And to get that with Black Panther, I mean, we would have to trade this item out and give him some another really good ultra rare artifact that's going to give him some nice brutal strike and some more critical hit rating. You can see this actually does none of that. All this does is give us spirit recovery, extra spirit, and become invulnerability, which of course is huge for Black Panther, the spirit regen, because he has no way, 0, with all of his items, of regenerating any kind of spirit. His quality of life just hasn't been updated enough in a while that I think, maybe last year, Black Panther you saw a lot more people playing Black Panther because he was one of the tier 1 characters at that point. He did enough damage. And slowly through the years, where the enemies have changed and got more damage, more hit points, and all that. And other characters are getting more updates. Black Panther hasn't been updated in a while, and so his kind of quality of life has stayed straight, while some of the other characters have gone up and down, up and down, up and down.
Never let it be said that the Black Panther avoided a battle.
That's true. Speaking of which, very good voice acting, very good model. You can see here our model, very fluid, smooth. If we were in an area, we will show you the combat, the gameplay, but he definitely smooth gameplay and everything, so definitely a plus for that. He's got some very quick, agile attacks. He can leap kind of up and over somebody. We don't actually have points in that ability, but he can do that. He's got this nice evasive throw, and he's got this Panther leap here, where he leaps over an enemy and stuns it. Kind of fluid melee, diving around, jumping, and attacking people. But of course, again, you need to have those attack speeds and those resources put in. Now, we could get extra critical hit rating if we didn't have to put in some attack speed. But without his extra attack speed, he's just so slow. He just doesn't attack very fast. So we get extra damage rating, critical damage rating, if we were to obviously swap that out. But then we're going to lose some attack speed. And that's kind of the general, I'm going to kind of leave that with the general theme with Black Panther. He's a really good character, really fun to play. His smooth animations. He's definitely a tier 2 hero. But can he make the cut to tier 1? Does he do enough? And I'm at this point going to say no. I've been kind of teetering back and forth for the last couple days. I've been leveling up his legendary here, kind of debating. He does quite a bit of damage. When we're talking about tier 1 to tier 2, the difference being tier 1 heroes can do several attacks that do hefty damage. Obviously, his signature power is huge damage, nice numbers. So then it comes up to what other powers do we have that can do regular huge amounts of damage. The knockdown sweep actually does some pretty good damage, but it just doesn't have enough to really give it that boost up to tier 1 level damage. Like I said, if this did a little bit more damage, or this did a little more damage, or this one, which is kind of our 3 kind of main damage dealers besides our jungle snare. If any one of these got a boost in damage, then maybe he would make it to tier 1. But as it is, it's like this one's just a little lacking, this one's just a little lacking, this one and this one are all just... I have occasionally hit 1,000,000 damage with the Savage Strike and with the Knockdown Sweep, with other heroes around giving me bonuses and such. I've had some 1,000,000 brutal strikes with some of these damage, but the issue runs into is when I've got to stand there and use my predatory frenzy on an enemy and slash it like 5 times in a row, and finally it dies, and I go, wow, that's not a tier 1 hero. That just doesn't do enough damage to wipe the trash out. If I go into Kursk, and I've tried several times to go on the Cosmic Kursk run with Black Panther, and yes, we've been successful, but it is extremely hard to get through that. I've died more times than I've been successful, and that's because, number one, health-wise and damage, defense-wise, he just doesn't make the cut. He's just a little bit short. If he had a little bit more damage, or I'm sorry, a little bit more defense, if these numbers were sitting in the, I would say 13 to 15 range, he's not that far away. 13 to 15, maybe even 13 to 16, that would make me feel a little bit better. And the reason they are as high as they are is, again, because we've been putting lots of our Omega points into actually getting these bonuses, defensive bonuses, health bonuses. If we didn't have those points in that, our stats would even be worse. And of course, when we're putting our points into getting our defense and our health up, we're of course losing out and doing extra damage. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Um, so yeah, a little bit short on the health. If the health was in the 23 to 25 range, he really needs just a quality of life update. Give him a little bit more
This gives me time to
defense.
plan my next attack.
Give him some more health. Give him a little bit more defenses, and then just bump if they gave a few of his powers just a slight update, or if they just said, you know what, this is going to do, instead of 36 to 54, it's going to do 60 to 90,000. Oh yeah, okay, there we go, boom. Then he might all of a sudden become tier 2 because then he's got, or I'm sorry, tier 1, because he's got 2 powers that are going to give him enough damage that he can sustain, do enough damage to kill enemies readily. He definitely, like I said, he's almost at tier 1, but he just doesn't make the cut just because his damage is just a little soft. He does have really good ultimate power, really good signature power. He does have the stealth, which I think, if we look at all the characters that use stealth in Marvel Heroes, which are Black Panther, Black Widow, who else uses the stealth? Winter Soldier. I'm sure there's probably another couple that I'm missing. Their general impressions for all those characters that use stealth is that they have low defenses and low hit points. That is a general theme. I don't think the developers of Marvel Heroes have really wrapped their head around those heroes that use stealth and can be able to not be attacked for a while because they're invisible or using stealth or whatever. You can see our ability here, and of course if we used our stealthy roll, we could be invisible or stealthy all the time. The advantage is, and I understand it's a balancing act, because if I'm invisible, while I'm invisible, the enemies can't do anything to me. They can't target me. They can't do any damage to me, and I can just sit there and regen my health. So I could literally go in to fight Kursk. I could hit him once, and then I could, roll away and become invisible, and then walk up to him again and hit him, and then roll away and become invisible. And I could just do that time after time after time, and then of course there's no reason why I would not beat Kursk. It'd take me forever to do it, but there's no way that it would just be the ultimate. And of course, the way to prevent that from happening is, okay, well, those characters that have stealth, what we're going to do is we're just not going to give them a lot of health and a lot of defense, and we're not going to give them any health regen because, well, that's kind of the deficit for having stealth. So those characters that are stealthy tend to not have a lot of defense, a lot of health. And, I understand their point is, they're trying to prevent, if I had great health regen and lots of hit points, I could walk up to Kursk, sash, have a quick fight, take a couple hits, become invisible, regen in a couple seconds, and then go back and do the same thing, and, basically win by just doing that. And that would make the game kind of broken, because these heroes that can do that are, have an advantage over the heroes that can't become invisible. So all in all, that's kind of my little rant on the developers and stealth and the whole mechanic that they can't wrap their head around, and how do they give those heroes that become stealthy a deficit. We're going to see him in action coming up. Let's go ahead and give him a score. I'm going to give him an 8.9 because he is right at the cusp of becoming tier 1. So 8.9 is his highest. In fact, if I could give him a more specific score, I would give him an 8.99. That's how close he is. He's almost there to tier 1, but he just doesn't make the cut. He just needs so many things. Um, Attack speed, he needs movement speed, he needs more critical hits, he needs more health, he needs more defense, he needs a little bit of everything, and that's kind of his downfall. If he had a really strong attack, um, and didn't have high defenses and high health, that would be fine. He just needs a little bit of everything. He just needs a quality of life update is what he needs. He's a hero that's been running for the last year or two on the same stats, and as everything has progressed, he hasn't progressed, and it just has now passed him by where he just doesn't end up being very viable. So uh, he's definitely a lot of fun, and we're going to get to see him in action, but definitely 8.99 tier 2, unfortunately. I'd like to see him as a tier 1, but it's just not going to happen until he gets an update. So thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you for the gameplay videos to come up. See you then.